I'll just be me. Here, I'll zoom up for you.
Are you doing my hands and stuff, dude? Don't you like that?
Yeah. I'm doing another one of those 30-day things. So.
Just edit my face if you could, like, make it look not like so bad.
Oh, you great.
No, I'm like, this is like bad.
This is a home.
Fair interaction. I don't care. You just have to edit. You know how to edit.
Hey guys, so I don't know if your guys' Facebook is as overwhelmed with bullshit as mine is, but there's something that's been kind of going a little viral lately, and I wanted to talk about it because of its just how goddamn insipid it is. It's this bullshit argument about whether or not addiction is a choice. There's two sides to this conversation. You have the one side, which is either people that have suffered with addiction of their own, or people that are well versed in medicine, doctors, nurses, stuff like that. That's one side of the aisle. We'll call them example A. And then on the other side of the aisle, you have a bunch of uninformed people, or just downright hypocrites. A few that I know for a fact suffer from alcoholism, things like that. Smoke cigarettes every day. We'll call this lot the fucking idiots. I'm gonna help you guys. The fucking idiot crowd. I'm gonna help you guys real quick, because what you're doing is you are confusing two separate things, and they couldn't be more different if they had to be. You are confusing the choice to use a drug of being hopelessly and utterly trapped with it. There's a big difference. The first time I smoked one of these, the very first time, that was a choice. Might have even been a choice 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Those might have been choices, but at some point the fucking hooks grabbed me and locked themselves in, and it's gotten to a point now where, me personally, this is my addiction. It's gotten to the point where I don't even like it. I think it's gross. I think I look stupid when I do it. I think it makes me smell bad. I think it makes me look stupid. Did I say that already? Maybe it's affecting my goddamn memory too. But at least as far as right now is concerned, as far as this present moment goes, every time I try to quit, something pulls me back in. I can sit here and tell you that I'm done till I'm blue in the face, and I have. I've even done that dramatic thing where you take a whole pack of cigarettes that you just bought and you crush them all and you throw them into a toilet and clog your goddamn toilet up. Then you have to spend a bunch of money to get a goddamn plumber to come unclog your toilet because the plunger isn't doing the trick, and then you're stressed out, and then you think, goddamn, I really need a fucking cigarette. That is where it stops being a choice. When that thing in your head goes from, that sounds like a fun thing to do, to, I really fucking need this. That's one side of the aisle. People that are like pseudo-philosophers. They don't bother me as much as the people that pat themselves on the back for not struggling with addiction. Like this image, which keeps popping up all over my Facebook feed. Your drug addiction was your choice. I had a shitty childhood, and guess what? Never been addicted to anything because I chose not to. Hate when people blame others. No, but you love sucking yourself off. What's really funny about that? What's really fucking funny about that? I'm not gonna name drop or anything, but the person that I saved this from, he smokes cigarettes. He's bummed cigarettes off of me before. Guess what, buddy? That's an addiction. By its very definition. Addiction cannot be a fucking choice. That's what makes it an addiction. Okay? Do you understand here? Let me put the dictionary definition of addiction right here for you, okay? Addiction is a primary chronic disease of brain reward, motivation, memory, and related circuitry. Dysfunction in these circuits leads to characteristic biological, psychological, social, and spiritual manifestations. This is reflected in an individual pathologically pursuing reward and or relief by substance use and other behaviors. Addiction, this is the most important part. What I'm about to read to you is the most important part of this. Addiction is characterized by an inability to consistently abstain, impairment in behavioral control, craving, diminished recognition of significant problems with one's behaviors and interpersonal relationships, and a dysfunctional emotional response. It's a fucking disease. I'll give it to you that it's a disease that's sparked by an initial choice. But just because you made the choice doesn't mean you chose the addiction. It doesn't mean you chose the disease. It just means you have bad judgment. I want to see you motherfuckers walk up to someone that's dying of HIV and be like, you know what? HIV isn't a disease. You chose to have unprotected sex. You chose that route. I don't think any of you would either A, have the balls to do it, and B, you wouldn't be dumb enough to do it because it's clear that HIV is a disease. It's a disease that was 95% of the time sparked by a choice, but it's still a fucking disease. I just don't understand what you people get out of it. I mean, I do. I get it. I get that you want to feel better about your own existence, so you make believe that medical professionals are just wrong. People that have studied their entire lives on these subjects are just fucking wrong. You want to look at people that are suffering from addiction and you want to feel better about yourself because you don't suffer from that addiction, even though you probably have a coffee in the morning. You probably can't get much done without that coffee. I would argue that that's an addiction. You might smoke cigarettes. You might drink. Maybe you're just a social drinker, but you know that's a slippery slope. One drink leads to 2, which leads to 30 a night. You know. When you get there, when you get to that point, come back and be like, yeah, that's a choice. What bothers me is speaking from a place of sheer ignorance. And that's what these posts are. It's speaking from a place of stupidity. Of real, true ignorance to what something is. And worse than that, not one of these posts are going to change anybody. You know what I mean? It's like you're not doing the world any good by stepping up to the drug addicts. You're not doing nothing. It's an exercise in futility in the worst way. All you're doing is masturbating. You're feeding your own ego, which is fine. But don't mask it as something other than that when that's what it is. I think that's the thing that bothers me the most, is the willful ignorance on one end, and then on the other hand, just the arrogance, the need for validation from your peers that you are better than that person because you didn't make that decision. My grandmother used to tell me that every single person you ever meet, you go find the worst case scenario in humanity that you can find. Go find a homeless person on the street that's missing limbs because they became gangrenous because they injected themselves with something that was bad and their fucking fingers rotted off. Someone that has no teeth in their mouth. Go find that person, look at them and realize you are 2 or 3 decisions away from being that person. So instead of acting like you're better because you haven't made those decisions, like you have some crystal ball and you know for a fact you won't ever make those decisions, when, just for the record, you don't know that. Instead of doing that, why don't you... God, that fucking dog. Why don't you do something a little more beneficial? Why don't you try to understand?